Our NBA Draft Scouting Report series. I was going to take a look at Ulrich Chomche, a raw 18-year-old prospect. I think he's the youngest prospect in this draft class, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. We were just talking before we recorded. There were some rumors and links of him potentially going to North Carolina or some other college routes before he decided to keep his name in the draft. Riley, what is one word to describe his game for the uninitiated?
I would describe my word is ticket because he is an absolute lottery ticket. If you watch any of his games, whether it was with the NBA Academy Africa, or I think he played in the BAL, the Basketball Africa League for a team in Rwanda, you see a lot of good flashes. He's 6'11" and there's legit playmaking upside. He can handle a little bit, has a good enough looking shot, but at the same time, like a real problem with shot selection, doesn't finish super strong around the basket. But he also has a 7'5" wingspan and has some like crazy highlight real level blocks as well. I think he's the ultimate high ceiling, low floor prospect in this class.
Yeah, he's incredibly raw, and that was my word is raw. He has the physical profile of somebody who can be very good. He does not have anywhere near the skill of an NBA player at this point. Like I think he'd be a long term project if he went to the college level where he needs some development. Again, the you mentioned lottery ticket. The pieces are there, and there's enough flashes on the court to think that there is something tangible to it. But a lot of the idea of Chomche is still an idea and a
Mm-hmm.
hope, and not an actual product yet. The ceiling can be pretty high. That could make his floor pretty low. Do you think he's more likely to hit his floor or ceiling in the NBA?
I'm betting on his ceiling. That I think he
Okay.
can hit it. Like I love the tools that are there. If he gets in the right situation, which we'll get to with NBA teams, a smart team should be able to develop him and get the most out of him.
I think more likely to hit floor because everything has to improve drastically. And it can happen. We've seen it happen. The most famous example of this is Giannis Antetokounmpo, right, where he came in as this raw 18-year-old who played in I think the Greek B League, wasn't even the top league, and developed into what he did. But he was the project. That doesn't happen all the time. That happens once, which is why we Giannis is held in the kind of regard that he did. I'm not going to rule out Chomsky having a major glow up like that, but history tells us it is far more likely he hits his floor than his ceiling. You mentioned team fit being important, so who is that team that would be best for him to land at?
Toronto Raptors. And I've seen this dude's projection all over the place. I think Vicini most recently still had him undrafted. Gavoni had him at pick 40 or 41, I want to say. The Raptors have the 31st pick in the draft. And again, he's what, 67th on our big board. So
Yep.
it very much could be a reach if they take him there. Who knows if they will or not. But when you look at their history with international players and also just he feels like a Masai Ujiri type of pick.
Yeah, this is the same guy who picked Bruno Caboclo, who was 2 years away from being two
Caboclo.
years away, famously, as Fran Sheila said. It wouldn't shock me to see Ujiri take a swing on him like that. That fits. I went with the Wizards simply because I think he needs opportunity, and
We're
there's
never
no
gonna hear from Ulrich again if he goes to the Wizards.
I know,
I don't wish that on him.
but there is no better place for him to get an actual opportunity than to go to Washington and deal with
And
that.
just
Maybe
suck
maybe
for half a
Detroit,
decade.
maybe Detroit, but we're gonna stick with the Wizards here. Detroit seems to be the place where careers go to die, and Washington is not much better. But Washington may have a clearer path. His peak year in the NBA, wherever that comes, what are his stats that season?
I'm gonna go a little bold and say he averages 12, 7 boards, and a block and a half.
Zero.
You don't think he's gonna play a single NBA game?
I'm going to cheat a little bit and jump ahead to the Yearlix superlatives. I think he is the most likely to never play a game in the NBA.
Wow. We are on very opposite ends of the spectrum here.
I
We need to
again,
go grind some big U tape. This is the real big U.
there is so much that has to go right for them to make it into rotation and play consistently in the NBA. I think that that's on the table, right? But there's still a ways to go to get there.
Yeah, I just like if you okay, it's a 3 game sample size from when he was in NBA Africa, the showcase they did, the NBA Academy Africa. He played alongside Kamen Maluwach, who is largely being projected as a lottery pick next year, even a top 5 pick. Well, I feel like I'm gonna maybe I should stop myself.
What?
Because Malowach averaged 21 and 15 over those 3 games. Chomche still averaged 13 and 9, and I think shot like 37% from three. Again, I think the ceiling is really high, and I don't think the floor is quite as low as people as maybe the naysayers want to say it is.
The floor is who he is right now, right? Where he is, it is an idea, and he gets overwhelmed by better competition and produces nothing. That's the floor, and I don't think that's the case. But if we're picking somebody in this draft class and never play in the NBA, I'm going to pick the guy who has the largest runway to go to get there.
Fair.
What for? We'll get to where we see him in 5 years in a second. If you've been watching these, you know that's on deck. But what do you think he's the most likely to do? What's your superlative for Chomche?
Mine actually sort of plays into some skepticism, even though I'm high on Ulrich. I think my superlative was most likely to be the ultimate just needs another chance guy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
bounces around 6 teams in 5 years because so many people just keep betting on the upside. But I think eventually he realizes it.
okay. So in 5 years, where do you see him? Where is he?
I think he'll be on an NBA bench.
I have him overseas, obviously. Again, I think he is somebody who can be a good basketball player, and I'm not saying any of this is saying I don't think he can be good. I just there's a lot that has to improve. You are taking a lottery ticket, and you make a lot of money winning the lottery because a lot of people don't win the lottery and buy tickets for it. I think he falls in that category. We'll see what happens with him. You mentioned his wide draft range on draft night. I think it'd be very interesting to see where he ends up going on draft night.
The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.